So this, okay, so this side is,
No grow aloe.
let me see your finger again.
Right out here, all this
Okay.
down there. Now we've got some pretty decent growth down a little bit further, but you know, it's still not what we've got. Because this, what I did is I came through and I went one width wide. In other words, the width of my boom. And you can even tell where the boom was because the growth here versus outside is just totally different. You can see exactly where I went with the spray. And the outside edge, we just I made one big pass all the way around. And so it just stops. I mean, you can just see the difference between
From where the boom started.
from here out to that direction in the growth, and then inside and outside where the boom was. I mean, this is 3 weeks worth of growth, and I would expect this, especially this time of year with the heat, and we're in a drought, and those are other key factors to see exactly what kind of, I mean, it adds a whole nother dimension to, or a research point, is that we're in a drought, right, an extreme drought for this area, and we're still getting these kind of results. So that's on itself is kind of just a big deal. This was an area that was super heavy clay, and what we did, we're trying to see what would happen if we added some sand. We've got a big sand plant a good friend of mine has about 2 miles away from here. So we brought in about 10 loads of sand and dumped them, and I spread them out, and then we tilled them in with the existing soil to see if we could help it kind of loosen it up, because that's what we call hard pack. I mean, it's like cutting concrete with that harvester. So it's kind of, the problem with it is it makes the grass pieces heavier, and then it's harder to produce. Plus it takes longer for the grass to come back in. So we've kind of got a combination of things going on here. We've got the new sand, and then we've got a strip of sprigs that's right here that we did, and we tilled those back in. But all this growth that's right here in front of us, this is 3 weeks old. This was all turned over pretty much upside down, nothing but dirt. We sprayed the grow aloe, and this is already just coming back so fast. And it's a fairly good sized strip through here. Guessing it's probably 6 acres total, 5 to 6 acres of this section of the field. But just the growth, and you know, I've never seen it come back like this fast. I would expect it to be like this a month and a half out, but to have it already where we're at is just astonishing to me. We've had so many products brought to us that promised, you know, the moon, and most of the time they do add and they do help, but we've never really had the results that they're always promised. You know, it's kind of like snake oil salesman is kind of what I've done. As soon as he started telling me about it at first, I was like, oh, great, here we go. He's got, you know, another one of those. And like I said, we've had some good results, but there's always got to be, you've got to have this and add that kind of fertilizer. And typically it does help promote some root growth, but it's expense. The expense is what kept us from doing it on a regular basis. That's all. And so when he was telling me about it and kind of what they were saying, I was like, yeah, okay. But then as Bob and I talked about it again, we talked about doing this research on it, and he said, would you mind? And I said, well, no, let's give it a try and see what it does. You know, let's just see what happens. And I was kind of, you know, didn't really have any reservations. You know, I was willing to work with him and try it out. If it does, because I thought that if it does what he says it does, even if it's 15 to 20% more growth than a healthier plant. But the biggest thing I was thinking is he wasn't really so much promising so much about fixing the grass or making the grass grow better. It was about fixing the dirt. And that's kind of the thing that piqued my interest in it, is because it's not so much the grass we need to push, because we push grass with fertilizer and these additives, but you're still not helping the soil. So this is that's kind of piqued my interest, is being able to do the remediation for our soil and help it healthier. Because if it's healthier, then the grass and anything else that's around it will grow better. So with the results we're seeing, I'm really just astonished. I mean, I was hoping for the best, wasn't expecting it. But now with what we've got, it's just, like I say, I think this is going to be a big game changer for this industry. Well, I guess the neat part about it is we're the ones starting with it, so we're going to lead the way, and from what I'm seeing here, and then if we get the same results on the new field and then on Pivot 1, the old field, because we're doing that entire field as a replant, it'll really be able to give everybody the information they need, and it's almost, I don't want to say this, but it doesn't matter what it costs. It's worth the investment because of what you get back. Because it just does so much. If it honestly does everything we're thinking it's doing and what we're seeing with the results, if it actually can make the soil healthier and and as well make the grass healthier, it gives us a better product. And so if the investment is well worth it. So even if it's not a full-time investment to where you can put it out as often as you need to, even a once-a-year application is better than nothing. And a lot of small farmers, sometimes that's all they can afford, but at least they can if they can get on that program and doing it that way, I think it just helps them and their farmers, all the way around, just from both ends, just the sales end and then the product end, and then your customers are happier, and then it makes it better for everybody. So I'm excited about it. Just the results we're getting so far, especially this area here that we just kind of just checking it out. And I told Bob I thought about just doing part of it, but then I thought, no, I don't want one portion of it to really be killing it and then have another big portion that's a month and a half behind. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna spray the whole thing. We'll get the application on and let's just see what happens. And this has been the result. And I mean, it's just remarkable what we've got on the ground, and I'm really excited about it. So the next thing is just to see how the existing sod reacts to it. And I think that's the other part is I'm curious to see. We sprayed this directly on the soil itself. That's more a sod application. So to see how the soil reacts behind this, we may have to fine tune it a little bit, but I think it may be after harvest you come in and you treat your soil behind it to where you get the proper application to that soil, then the soil takes care of the rest. And so and that may be kind of the application we have to look at, but we'll find out because we put it on all this entire field has the applications on it now. So we'll see how it responds in these areas, and hopefully it does real good. So I'm excited about it to see where we go. So it'll be pretty awesome. It's a natural product. It's not something that's going to hurt anything around the rest of the farm. A lot of times with fertilizer, everybody's worried about runoff and stuff. Not so much on the fertilizers, because typically the phosphates and the potassiums and the nitrogen, it's already there anyway. But it's a runoff from the other things that any kind of pesticides or herbicides that you use. And if you can get your grass growing in thick, it chokes things out. So if you can get your grass growing in quicker and thicker, it'll help control your weeds. So you're limiting the amount of any kind of foreign application of herbicide or something like that keeps it out. I mean, there's always going to be, you're always going to have to do some kind of application to help control things, but if you can, at least helps you limit that by your grass growing in faster, because your field is most vulnerable right after you harvest, because you've got exposed soil. So with this product, if it'll help kind of get that grass growing in quicker and thicker, faster, it starts choking things out quicker, you can limit how much of the herbicide you're having to apply. And that's kind of the biggest thing that I look at. As far as the organic thing, that's just a positive all the way around. The more that we can use, that we're not having to use the synthetic fertilizers, or the less you can use, instead of 200 pounds, you can use 50 and get the same results out of a quarter of what you used to have to use. It's just a bonus all the way around on that end of the. especially when you're looking at the environment around your farm and how it applies and affects not just the vegetation, but your wildlife and that kind of stuff. So it really is a bonus kind of all the way around on something environmental like that. But farmers are your biggest conservators. I mean, they're the ones, we're all out here doing the same thing. We're, growing crops, but we're also taking care of the soil, taking care of the wildlife, taking care of the land, and some on a much larger scale than what we're doing. But everybody thinks about it. Yeah, they may not think we are, but we do. We really look at what's going on and what's happening around us, and the biggest thing is trying to make sure everybody's safe and you're taking care of what you've been given to take care of. The price of fertilizer has more than tripled in the last year. So everybody's looking for something to get an edge, to help them grow their grass back or whatever crop they're growing, and this could be what they need. Healthier soil, healthier plant, and then you don't need to put out as much fertilizer because it's going to take all of it up, because the plant's healthier and it's got what it needs from the grow aloe to help it do what it needs to do on a more efficient basis. I think it's going to be essential now, and it'll help the farmers especially the smaller producers. I don't care what they're producing. If this can be a use-all for everything, it's just going to make everybody's crops a better crop and a healthier crop and have more production. So it just allows everybody to be a little bit more successful on all avenues of their business, be it row crops, be it grass or sod or that, because then we're taking care of ourselves, our land, our product is second to none, and then our customers are happy, and so are their customers, and it's just kind of a win-win down, like I say, a win-win-win all the way down with everybody.